And we're back. We're doing it again. And this time, we're doing the 3A South, which I'm just totally thinking, yeah, I think we're good. We should be good. Guys, we're all over the place having a good time. Every time you get us three together, it is nothing but crazy, ridiculous times. We try to have fun with it all. We could be right. We could be wrong. You could be weak. We could be strong.
Ooh.
Wow, DJ Aspen's in the building.
Anyways, I got my man Rodney from Game Time in here, as well as Daniel from the Varsity Breakdown. Make sure you guys give us a follow on Twitter and also like, follow, and subscribe this video because we are always trying to get more of you guys to chime in while we do this, so we're not just sitting here spitting knowledge to nobody. So, anyways, as always, I'm gonna have. You know what? Let's have.
No, don't switch it. No, we're in the mood.
All right, cool.
No,
Okay,
keep it the same. I
All
knew
right.
I was gonna do that too.
This time, like we mentioned, is gonna be the 3A South. And as we go, and I always have my man Daniel chime in on this. Go ahead and run down the breakdown of what's going on with this region.
All right, here in the 3A South, you have Morenci, who last season went 7-3, 3-1 in the region. Pusch Ridge also goes 7-3, 1-3 in the region. Sabino, the defending 3A state champions, went 7-3, 2-2 in the region. Then you have Safford, who last year went 4-6, 1-3 in the region. And to wrap things up, you have Thatcher, who went 6-4, and they were your region winners, I believe. Or no, excuse me, I think it was Morenci, right?
Yeah,
Who ended up being Thatcher. So you had Thatcher as well go 3-1. And the great thing about this 3A South region is every team in this region made the playoffs last year. One of the toughest regions to play in. But at the end of the day, Sabino took home the hardware.
Mm-hmm.
Well, are things going to be the same coming into this year?
Well, and just like we always do, what we do is we take where the teams were ranked from the end of last season, and we'll go over that real quick here. Morenci came at 57th. Pusch Ridge came in at 74th. Sabino was at 36th or 37th. I apologize. And Safford 86th, as well as Thatcher 58. So, I mean, like always, we jump in on this and we have a bunch of fun trying to determine whether or not we feel that Max Preps is going to kind of be spot on with where they ended last year coming into this next season, if we agree or disagree. And that's what we're all about. So, yeah, go ahead, Brad.
So tell me this, okay? You know, we're just doing this lovely show. So Max Preps has them going 9-1 this coming year. Correct? Morenci.
Oh, okay. So we're chiming in on Morenci.
Isn't that what we're doing?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, okay. So listen to me real quick. So Max Preps has them going 9-1.
Okay.
Completely done. Not gonna happen. I'm gonna be the bad news bears. Okay, tell you right now, not gonna happen.
Well, let's run over the schedule first, since you want to go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Since you want to jump over and take over the show, man.
You know what? No, I don't want to. Look, I'm out the show now.
So I'll go ahead and let you go ahead and take over the Morenci rundown. So
sorry. Listen, Max Preps has Morenci going 57. Their first 4 games are home games against ALA Ironwood, who's ranked 104. Round Valley ranked 66. Benson ranked 171, and Pima ranked 60. Then their first away game is going to be against Blue Ridge, coming in at 69. Then they have a cool bye week. They probably going to need that. After the bye week, they have Safford, which is ranked 86. Pusch Ridge is a home game, 74. Then they have at Fountain Hills, who's ranked 164. At Sabino, who took the hardware last year, 37. And then they got it in their season, Thatcher, home game, who's ranked 58. Listen, Chris, you might be onto something with your record.
Well, I mean, you're the one who's got them ranked the best here. So I'm going to go ahead and then let you go. I mean, start ahead out the gate.
Listen, out the gate, I have them going 5-5. And literally, after looking at who they have coming back, I kind of want to lean towards like Daniel Chris prediction. I don't see them going 9-1. Again, Morenci, I'm sorry. They lost a lot of people. I'm gonna be a lot.
Including the coach.
Listen, you said it, not me, but yes, including their coach, Coach Davis. I mean, the only person or they have coming back, if I'm looking at this correctly, is their number one tackler, Derek Little.
That's and what you're talking about is the stat leaders. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, is a stat leader. So, I mean, again, I'm kind of nervous about how I picked mine going 5-5, but again, I have their wins going against ALA Ironwood, Benson, Safford, Fountain Hills, and Sabino. So again, I have them going 5-5. Daniel, you're right under me going 4-6. So talk to us a little bit.
So the only difference I think me and you had is I have ALA Ironwood beating Morenci, but and then the other one is I have them losing to Sabino. And you know I spoke on when we were talking about the 3A Central about Sabino and how young they are. If you look at Morenci, it's the same boat, you know, and Chris, to kind of piggyback off of, you know, them losing their coach this year, the past 2 years they've gone through coaching changes, and you know, coming in with a young roster, another coaching change, you know, for the third year in a row, it's going to be kind of tough to really have some consistency there, especially for how well they did and winning the 3A South last year. So I think, you know, just like you, Rodney, I think it's going to be a down year for Morenci. But Chris, you have them going the worst out of the bunch, and go ahead and explain that one.
Another difference you had on that also, just to kind of help you out too, is I saw that you guys had a difference between Blue Ridge as well.
Yeah.
So my 3 wins are coming by Round Valley, Benson, and also Fountain Hill. Those 3 might be the only 3 I feel that they're actually going to get. Maybe hopefully I'm wrong. Once again, you know, this is us just trying to discover. That's the fun about doing this. We got people talking about football, and honestly, take my picks and predictions, put them on your locker room wall, and use that as motivation if you need to. I have no problem with that. But yeah, I only have them going 3-7. I just feel that there's just been so much. This is typically a run heavy team, you know, so. We'll see what happens. I mean, there's a lot of talent that comes up out of that neck of the woods. So I have to give props to, you know, Morenci for that. Definitely a strong community. And they got some amazing facilities as well. So you never know. They could they could show me off, and they could be the 9-1 that Max Prep's got some going. But I mean, me personally, I got them going like you guys had mentioned, 3-7 this year.
Yeah.
So, well, you know, and the positive thing about what they did last year is, who would have thought their biggest loss would have been against Safford? You know, if you look at the game against Pima and the game against Blue Ridge that they lost, it was only by 3 points.
It's a tough region. Like you mentioned, all 5 teams went to the playoffs. Tough region. And then here's the funny part. Like, the region winner didn't even go to, like, they weren't even the championships. Like, the number 3 team won the state championship.
Right. And lastly, if you do go 4-6 or a 5-5, you, with that strength of schedule, you still have an opportunity to make the playoffs, not like Safford did last year. So, you know, it's still up in the air for Morenci to still be a team out there that makes the playoffs. It just from what they did last year, it's going to be, I think, a regress for sure.
Well, a team me and you both got to video and actually stream the games, which you can see on our site, was Pusch Ridge. So why don't you do me a solid here and run down that list if you would?
All right. The Pusch Ridge Lions are ranked 74th. They are going to have a first week bye. After the bye, they're on the road 2 games in a row at Sholo, who's 125, at Benjamin Franklin, who's 93. Then they travel down over to Yuma, who's 161. Then they have a rematch of the game that we recorded, but they're at Catalina Foothills this year, who's 83. And then they're home against Santan Foothills, who's 149. Home against Sabino, who's 37. At Morenci, as we mentioned, who's 57. Home against Coolidge, who's 107. At Thatcher, who's 58. And wrap up at home against Safford, who is 86. And with that schedule, Max Preps has them going 7-3 this year. And we were all kind of pretty close in those predictions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we honestly,
We're all-
I think this is the first. This is the first that we all got them going 8-2, and with the losses only handy coming to Pusch Ridge from Benjamin Franklin, which, you know, if you go back and watch our last video, we discussed, or at least I mentioned, Benjamin Franklin's is strong. It's running through. I feel they run through the 3A Central. So I don't see them kind of changing up here. I think Benjamin Franklin comes in strong again. And Thatcher, I mean, honestly, we'll get to Thatcher in just a moment, but Thatcher's always Thatcher.
Thatcher's always Thatcher. You are right. Yeah.
And if you look at their roster, I mean, you know, they're losing kind of that dual threat quarterback in Bubba Mustaine. I mean, he was not only their leading passer, but number 2 in the rushing category. But the one guy I like that they have coming back is Jacob Newborn. He was their leading rusher, rushed for 900 yards. And then they still got a couple receivers, their number 1 and number 3 receivers. So if they find somebody to fill the whole Bubba's leaving, which is going to be tough. But you know what? Pusch Ridge is a team that can definitely have some players step up and be successful this year. I think that this schedule will benefit them and possibly see them going 8-2 for sure.
Some good stuff, man.
Good stuff. Yeah. I don't have nothing to say. If you know, we're kind of all in agreement with who they lost, but with their record, again, great program over there, Pusch Ridge. I mean, they're just going to reload and you know, hey, do what it do. So yeah.
Pusch Ridge is all about here. But obviously we always got to talk about, you know what, the state champion is returning. So we're gonna have Mr. Rodney running this one down.
Here we go. State champion Sabino comes ranking in at 37. Again, they have Coolidge. Their first 2 games. First one is going to be against Coolidge, ranking in at 107. Then they play Saguaro with an H, okay, at 115. Their first away game is going to be Chrisman at 168. Then they go home and they play against Micah Mountain at 23rd. And then they have a home game against Safford at 86. Then they can, you know, chill a little bit with a nice bye before having their next away games, 3 at Pusch Ridge, 74, at Thatcher, 58, and then at ALA West Foothills, 72. And then they have a home game against Morenci, who's ranked 57, and then Mojave ranked 40th. And Sabino has them going 9-1. Daniel, you have them going 4-6, the lowest out of us 3. So talk to us a little bit.
Well, if you look at the way the state champions, how much they lost last year, it is pretty tough to kind of replace some of the names as Cam Hackworth, Mason Cade. Then you had Shamar, or actually Shamar and Savon, or Shamar transferred. Correct. And Savon, you know, is no longer on the team. So with those cores of the Berry Hill brothers, and if you look at, you know, everybody on this roster except for their third leading rusher, which is Zachary Haley, that's really all you have coming back. I see them as a team that kind of is in the same boat as Morenci or even Coolidge, like we talked on the last episode. It's definitely tough to replace a lot of players. So I only had them beating Chrisman, Safford, ALA West Foothills, and Morenci this year. And it's just because if you look at their strength of schedule, second toughest schedule in this region. So we already talked about how this region is a gauntlet to get through. To be able to do it with pretty much a whole new team is going to be definitely tough. But you guys both got them going 6-4. So curious to hear what you guys have to say about what they're going to do this year.
I'll jump in next.
Go ahead, sir. Yeah.
You know, my losses are going to come here from, you know, and I'm going to get chastised for this. First from the big rival with Saguaro. I think this is the time with the actual loss of some of the athletes that they have, like we had just mentioned. I think this is the time for Coach Al over at Saguaro to jump in and take this win. Normally it's been a cringe kind of like thing. We don't really want to play it because they've been a solid program, Sabino. So I think This one is my first loss is against Saguaro. My second loss comes with Micah Mountain. I think Micah Mountain is just a dominant force. Pretty much once again, just coming back. They're actually we'll check that when we get to that film. Pusch Ridge, as we already mentioned, they're always a solid program. And Thatcher is Thatcher.
Thatcher.
I'm just gonna keep saying Thatcher. But Rodney, and so me and you, we got what's the difference? So you actually picked one different. So go ahead and tell me what you did.
Right. So I'm gonna go with their wins, right? So I have them beating Coolidge. I know you have them losing against Saguaro. I have them beating Saguaro. Again, beating Chrisman, beating Safford, and then the last two, that we have is ALA West Foothills and then Mojave. So I mean, I have them going 6-4. It's tough. Just like what Daniel was saying, is they had Cam Hackworth, they had Mason Cade, and all those other, like the ones who transferred with Berry Hill. That was a lot of talent. I mean, even when they played in the final in the championship where they played against Paradise Honors, I mean, I think like Shamar, I think the Berry Hills had an amazing game. Mason Cade ran over like a safe. Like it was just, the score was crazy.
Record, I think, right? State championship record or something like that.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was unbelievable what they did. So to have all those people leave or even transfer, we'll see what Sabino's going to do.
Replacing those weapons is definitely going to be a hard thing to do.
Absolutely,
but we'll see. I mean, Coach McBrayer has a huge winning record over the past years. And the other thing is that the one thing I will say about Sabino is get off with it. They're not transferring.
Wait, hold on. They got transfers coming in. Hold on.
Again.
Coach McBrayer, hello. Get out the wait. Are you listening in right now? You have transfer. No, you're not on air. It's okay. Tell me.
You are not toxic. Just knock it off. Anyways, the one thing I know the one thing that does help Sabino, unlike Morenci and stuff like that, they are sitting here in the Tucson community, so it is easier for them to get kids to transfer in to actually replenish some of that talent, which could be a factor on maybe a lot of these games that we have. So we could be wrong.
Could be. Yeah.
So next one up here, we got obviously Dan. Go ahead and run down Safford if you would.
All right, the Safford Bulldogs come in ranked 86th. They're going to open up at home against Payson, who's 114. Travel down to Pima, who's 60. Then they got the next two at home against Florence, 89th, and then against Rincon University, who's 194. Two road games at Sabino, who's 37, at Blue Ridge, who's 69. Home against Morenci, who's 57, at Round Valley, who's 66. Home against Thatcher, who's 58th, and then after their bye, they are on the road at Pusch Ridge, who is 74th. And surprisingly, or not, Max Preps has them going 3-7, finished 4-6 last year. So kind of close for what they got coming into this year. Would you guys agree or disagree on that one?
You know what? I have them going the best, again, out of us three, going 5-5. I mean, again, just looking at what they have coming back. I mean, they only have two of their top wide receivers coming back, in Cole Goodman and Mayo Dawson. But again, everybody else left, graduated. So, I mean, again, tough conference, last year. But again, 5-5. I kind of want to change it, but I'm not. I have them losing against Florence, Sabino, Blue Ridge, Morenci, and then obviously Thatcher being Thatcher, and Pusch Ridge. So again, I mean, tough schedule, but again, I feel like they can pull out a couple of these wins. So I got them going 5-5. Chris, you got them going 4-6.
Right.
So
So for me, where I got them, I got 4-6, and actually it looks like a lot of the games here. Daniel's actually got them 5-5. Me and Daniel actually agree on most of them. I think there's only one
that was Rodney. I got him going a little bit lower.
Yeah, you did. Never mind.
So
my wins going to them right at 4-6. I got them a win over Payson. I got them winning over Rincon University. I also got them winning over Morenci. which is one of the different ones here, and also a win over Round Valley. So those are my 4 wins. Go ahead, guys, do me proud here. And Daniel, you got him at 2-8. What's going on with you? Why do you see him so?
I mean, when you look at that breakdown of who they're losing, another team kind of like Morenci, it's just going to be one of those years. I mean, they finished 4-6 with a team that they were pretty senior heavy, it looks like. So I think you're going to see them regress a little bit more. That's why I have 2 more losses added to their record this year. I mean, traveling to Pima is going to be tough. I've yet to, in the 4 or 5 years I've been covering, my area, I've got to know Pima quite a bit because they're just the team to beat, seems like, in the 2A. So I've never really seen them regress. Of course, we know how good Florence is going to be. And then you kind of get into their region itself, where I have them going 0-4, losing to Sabino, Morenci, Thatcher, and Pusch Ridge. So the other 2 losses I have were, I think Round Valley is a tough team every year that they've been around since I've been covering. And then I think that Blue Ridge would be another one. It may be a really good game there, where last year the game Safford lost 13-14. So right there is going to be a good game. I just unfortunately have them losing. So when you look at that schedule, it's just really, really tough to figure out where they can pick up some wins being so young.
I mean, it's a solid conference, like you said, and they play solid programs throughout the conference. Like you're saying, some of these strength of schedules were some of the best, in not only just Southern Arizona, but for all of 3A football, they were some of the better. But yeah, no, I'm right there with you. And I agree completely. Now, the next one that we got coming up here, Thatcher being Thatcher. We'll go ahead and let Rodney run through it.
Listen, Thatcher being Thatcher comes in ranked 58, again, based off of Max Preps. Again, their first home game is against Paradise Honors. Again, they're ranked 44. Then their next game is going to be away at Chrisman, so out here by me. They're ranked 168. Then the next game is going to be a home game against Valley Christian, who's ranked 51. And then they're at Round Valley, who's ranked 66. And then they have Yuma Catholic. That's going to be a good one, who's ranked 20th. Then they have a bye. Their next 5 games, they have at Sholo, 125. Home game, Sabino, 37. At Safford, who's ranked 86. Home game, Pusch Ridge, who's 74th. And then they're going to end their season, or at least their regular season, at Morenci, who's ranked 57. Now, again, Max Preps has them going 5-5, which I think is crazy. But again, that's just me.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know what to say to that. Like who?
But it goes to show what they have played last year and how everything kind of went down last year. Like you had a lot of teams come in and win games that you wouldn't have thought. And once again, it's not that they're not a strong, dominant program. They are. Like we all pretty much, I think Daniel's the only one here going less than me and you, Rodney, both at 9-1, and both of us agreeing that one loss might come to them. And honestly, let's be honest. I think why I picked Yuma Catholic to take the win is because obviously they played them so well last year. But at the same time, it's real hard to go with a non-blemished schedule. To go 10-0 is difficult. So I don't tend to throw them out that often. So it is. I mean, Yuma Catholic is a solid competitor, always is. But yeah, I mean, Daniel, you got them with an additional loss here. What were you thinking there?
So I'm going back on their 2 out of their 3 losses from last year. I think they do pick up the win against Paradise Honors this year. Paradise Honors has a couple positions that they need to replace. We'll see how that works out for them. But the one I agree with you guys is the Yuma Catholic one, lost 42-20 to them last year. And it just seems like Yuma Catholic is just that team right there out in the Southwest that they get a lot of great players that come through that program. So I don't see anything different there. The only one that I went with was Valley Christian. That game ended 15-14. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, like Valley Christian went for 2 in late in the game and won it that way. But that game for me is a toss up. I'm just going with Valley Christian on that one just because they took it last year, but would not be surprised if Thatcher's able to pull that out. I just know both of these programs just continuously have great players returning. So I just went with the team that beat them last year. So that's really all I have for that one. But if you kind of look at Thatcher, I mean, you're just you're losing your number 1 rusher.
Yep.
You're in who's also your number 3 receiver in Christian Carter, and then their number 3 tackler Zach Salazar. So you got the core of that team coming back, and why they're going to be successful and probably are my front runners to win this region. Just because, as everybody's been saying all episode, Thatcher is Thatcher. So I won't think any different of it.
Well, and I think one thing that we also pointed out, right, before we got on today, is that one thing that's frustrating, and I will say this is something as we were looking at Thatcher and several other kind of teams as well, that don't put the complete stat programs, like you don't update their stats, so we're not getting everything that you're not providing to Max Preps. And I think that's a key thing, because we do want to name drop, we want to like give spotlights to kids that deserve those spotlights, whether they were from last season and not returning, or those who are returning from this year that were their top 3 producers in each region. That's what we're trying to do. So it is very crucial and vital. Coaches, please, if you are watching our shows, make sure you enter your stats every like just enter them. I know it's not always the fun thing to do, and maybe you've lost multiple games, but that the other thing that you brought up, Daniel, that was a valid good point too, was people don't understand, I don't think, how much travel plays a role in the 2A and 3A football programs. So there is a lot of traveling distance. Some of these teams are taking 4-hour drives, 3-4-hour drives just to get to the game, to turn around and go back, and then maybe the next day, week doing the same thing. So definitely an interesting thing. One thing we didn't do actually on the last show, and I was actually thinking about this, we didn't go over our region like leaders, who we feel is going to win the region. So let's go ahead and take a moment. And I mean, for me, I have winning this region is going to be Thatcher at 4-0. Next, I have Pusch Ridge at 3-1. Then Sabino going at 2-2, followed by Safford 1-3, and Morenci bringing up a 0-4 in this region. So where are you at, Rodney?
You know what? Just like yourself, I have Thatcher going 4-0. I have Pusch Ridge, again, just like yourself, going 3-1. Now, we're a little bit different. I have Morenci going 2-2, Sabino going 1-3, and then, Safford going 0-4.
And Daniel?
And for me, it's a clean sweep with Thatcher going 4-0, Pusch Ridge as well going 3-1. Then I have Sabino going 2-2, Morenci 1-3, and Safford 0-4.
Yeah. So hey, definitely got some stuff going on. And as you just saw, we just went over the region, and these are how we have our picks. And this is also how Morenci comes in and how we compare to it. As you can see, Morenci coming in 9-1. Looks like we actually really kind of gotten away from Max Preps on this one. We kind of all agree really with Pusch Ridge actually giving them a thumbs up rather than a thumbs down over their 7-3. Sabino comes in number 9-1, where it looks like we all agree that they're going to probably do a little bit worse than that, actually. Safford comes in at 3-7. We actually seem to, except for Daniel, go the other way, and Daniel's kind of on the opposite side of that. Unanimously, we all agree that Thatcher is going to go better than 5-5. So,
absolutely.
I mean, I think it's going to be an interesting region, guys. I think coming from the top, strongest region from last year, even though they didn't win the region, right? Did they?
Thatcher didn't win the region.
Sabino won state championship.
Correct.
Sabino won the state championship, and Morenci won the region.
So, I mean, coming from a region that literally goes and wins the state championship and everything else. And once again, they weren't even the number 1, number 2. They were the number 3 ranked in their region. So just it goes to show how strong that region was.
And
so we're
getting
going to
hot
see
at the right time.
Yeah, so we're going to see there's a lot of rebuild going on in this region. So this is the time for a lot of the other 3As to try to bump them out of that number 1 region today. So we'll see what happens.
I got a question though. Like, do you think that possibly, I mean, given our picks, it might not look like it, but just overall, would we see all 5 teams make the playoffs again this year?
Me personally, that's a great question, bro.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't see all 5 teams. I think you might see a struggle with Morenci and Safford trying to make it in. Depending once again how Pusch Ridge is. But here's the other thing that I'll talk about 3A is that 3A is actually one of those divisions that's low on numbers. So there's it's been kind of watered down. They haven't done the realignment this year. So I don't know as if, for example, you're going to have a lot of teams jumping into that, taking over some of those positions that the 3A South did. So it is definitely interesting to see. But I mean, valid question. I honestly think maybe you get 3 teams. I don't think you're going to get all 5. I think you go with 3.
And you know what? I'm gonna piggyback off you, Chris. I think 3, which I mean, obviously Thatcher, obviously Pusch Ridge. Again, I don't think Sabino is going to make it. Again, that's a rebuilding. I mean, to lose those type of talented guys, again, I don't see Sabino making it. Again, that's just me, but I can see Thatcher, Pusch Ridge, and like Morenci. Those are my 3. Let's go.
Wow. That interesting that you would say that, because that would be the first time in I think 21 plus odd years Sabino hasn't made the playoff.
They're on a big streak. Yeah. And so, but and the only reason I asked that is because, like I said, if you look at the strength of schedule and you look at a team like Safford who went 4-6, they made it, I believe, at the number 16 seed. I want to say, I think they had to play Mojave or Paradise Honors in the first round. But Chris, you always preach about it. You gotta always help your other. You always got to hope that the other teams are helping you in by winning certain games and beating who they're supposed to be. Because when we were talking about that 5A Southern region, we were talking about how they just struggled against the 4A, and it kind of devoured a lot of those team seasons who possibly would have made the playoffs if they had some help on the other end.
Yep. You got to win your non-region games.
Have to.
I mean, it's okay if you want to beat each other up, but you got to beat, because the stronger your region is going into your region play, the less things are going to move around. So you always got to have, hope that weakest link actually holds its weight. That's all you can say.
Yep.
But yeah, once again, guys, another great show. We did it again. This was the wrap up on our opinions here for the 3A South. And we are just, we're kicking them out. We're enjoying this. And once again, guys, if you are checking out the video, make sure you like, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. Put down your comments. Once again, we know if it hasn't happened yet, Rodney and Daniel both might be actually challenging people on NCAA streams. We're going to try and get that all situated.
Get it.
So, actually, you might be able to do it before Rodney, because we have to go over and set Rodney's stuff up for him.
Right.
So, yeah, what's going to happen, guys, if it's not going on already by the time this is coming out, which I don't think it will. What's happening is we're going to be interviewing our kids while they play NCAA. Me, personally, not a gamer at all. It wouldn't even be a game to watch. I'd be like, yo, coach suggestion. Yeah. So, yeah. Horrible. Other than that, we'll be doing another one. Daniel, can you tell me what the next game?
Oh, it's going to be another one for you, Chris, as we got the 4A Keno region. Talking about that tough region out there in 4A. They did so well last year, had CDO state champions. So could it be a repeat, or could there be somebody there to dethrone them? Because we all know it's something good to talk about there.
Hey, here's the great thing. We always get to argue and see what Max Preps thinks. So will it be up or down? So we'll see what's going on, guys. Stay tuned. Y'all be good.